Crystal McCarey, and I was a Soul Train dancer from 1976 to 1989.
It's Saturday, I see the golden sun is shining up above.
I am from the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois, the South Side. I grew up in Hyde Park, and I used to sing. I grew up singing, so I was actually doing recitals by the time I was 5. My mother is a professional dancer. In '55, they had a nationwide search for the dancers that were going to open the Moulin Rouge. It was the first African-American owned casino in Las Vegas in Nevada, and my mom was one of 3 that were selected from Chicago. I would say the style of my dancing is for sure based on her, watching her at a very young age. I knew of Soul Train in '70, and I tried a couple of times to get on the show then, but being the only child, I could never go anywhere alone. So my grandmother drove me over there twice, and when she saw it, she said, "No, I'm not leaving you here." She saw the kids out there and everybody was acting all crazy. She said, "No, it's not time for you to do this." So once I finished my schooling, I hit the first thing smoking to come out and check out LA. The way Soul Train came about is I was actually working in the building that was directly across the street from Don Cornelius' office, but I didn't know that. So here I am, deciding what I want for lunch. So I decided I was going to walk to the sushi restaurant. I'm walking down Sunset Boulevard, and this guy goes by in a Seville, and he blows his horn, and I'm just walking. You know, I got on my short skirt, my suit, my hair beat, everything. So I go to work looking good. He went around the block, and he came back again, and he double parked. He got out his car, and he ran over to me with a business card. He said, excuse me, do you dance?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I dance." And he said, "Well, I work with Soul Train, and you're really attractive, and I was wondering if you'd be interested in auditioning for the show." And I looked at his card, and I knew my mom knew Don Cornelius from high school because she used to talk about it when he first put the show on WCIU in Chicago. So I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, you're not going to believe this." And I told her, and she's like, "Just tell him when you get there that you're Bobby Sox's daughter." I said, "Okay, Barbara McCarey, I'll tell him." After work, walked across the street, went up to their suite. They had me fill out some paperwork, and I sat down and waited. And then Don got off the phone, and he said, My, who's this?" And I introduced myself, and I said, "My mom asked me to let you know that I'm Bobby Sox's daughter. She remembers you from DuSable High School." And he said, Bobby Sox. I said, "Yeah, my mom was Barbara McCarey." And he was like, "Bobby Sox. Oh my goodness, that's your mom?" And he just immediately, he remembered her. So I just went into a showgirl move on him, and he was like, "Just make sure your skirt don't come down." Because I was, doing my thing, shaking the hair, and I just rolled in. He was like, "Man, look out now, look out." He said, "Are you available to come on the show this weekend?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll get there." And that was it. And I was there 13 years. Whatever city you go to, there's people who write, who dance, who sew, who design. And in California, there were more opportunities here for people to be part of things because this is Hollywood. So in the early years, they would show up with the trunk of a car completely full of clothes that they had originally designed. And some of them, they had actually designed for specific dancers. I would have 2 or 3 different people that would come to me and say, "Excuse me, but can I show you some of the clothes that I make? Because I'd like for you to, if you like it, to wear it on the show." And that's kind of how that started for me. And I did work with many over years. Dancers themselves were skilled at designing clothes. Aretha Jackson, one of my dearest friends today, amazing seamstress. She can sew by sight without a pattern. So she did some of the outfits that I wore. And then when Tony Briggs intersected into Soul Train, it almost seemed as though he became the designer of Soul Train, because his vision And it was individual by dancer. It wasn't just one-stop shop. He actually saw the difference in our personality. He saw the difference in the way we moved. His concept of me, I believe, was kind of mermaid. He always put me in stuff that showed off my body lines, but he always gave me ruffles, height, because he knew that I was going to have these arm movements, and he knew that I was going to be swaying, and he designed for me that way. Tony did my clothes for the last 4 or 5 years that I was on Soul Train.
I love you, baby.
The most memorable times on Soul Train were for sure Marvin Gaye. Marvin was a personal friend, and he was a fan. He had watched me on Soul Train for years, so when he came, he asked Don if I could come up and dance with him in the intro to the song he was going to perform. And Don said, man, I can't just bring Crystal up here by herself. Look at all these beautiful featured dancers here. But what I will do is I'll grab a clutch of them together and let them come up here with you, and I'll let Crystal lead it off. So that's how that feature came about. Little Richard I also knew as well. And when he came and performed on Soul Train, he too requested me to come up on the stage and dance. Little Richard, I was like, wow, wow, wow. Me and Niecy Payne took over the stage, and Reggie Thornton, we got up there and we just rocked and had such a wonderful time. And then Funkadelic. I came upon that opportunity rehearsing to go on the road with Bobby Womack, and I sing, so I had agreed to do a short tour with him. So we were there rehearsing at the rehearsal facility, and I was walking through and we saw Funkadelic, and they recognized me right away. And they were like, Crystal, you know what? We're gonna be on Soul Train this week. One of our background singers and dancers is on the road. Do you wanna fill in? So I said, sure, let's do it. When I went to Soul Train for that taping, I was going into the celebrities' dressing room, and everybody was like, where's Crystal? And they said, well, she's here, but she's gonna be on the show. All the dancers and everything were like, Crystal's gonna be on Soul Train, she's gonna be on the show. And nobody knew exactly what I was gonna be doing. And everybody was like, well, if she got a record deal and she's getting ready to debut and she didn't tell me, I'm gonna be done with that happening.
Crystal, what are you doing up here?
Here's the way I look at food and productions. Basically, it's food. We don't know who he was helping by providing that chicken to us. This is always a chain. One hand scratches the other. And after you had danced for 6 or 7 hours, you were tired. And it was convenient because we could not leave the studio. Now, I will tell you, we left. We would get in our cars and drive down the street and, you know, go to Acapulco, have Mexican food. But most of our time on lunch breaks was spent trying to figure out our outfits, trying to rehearse. It was food, and guess what? You didn't have to eat it if you didn't want to. The Soul Train line is like the quintessential feature spot. That's where all the dancers wanted to be included. They didn't even care if they danced on the floor the entire show, maybe on a riser once or twice, but everybody wanted to come down the Soul Train line. That's where you really got to engage the audience. Definitely one of the favorite parts of the show, and everybody kind of prepared for it. Sometimes it happened right off the top. Other times it was just rehearsed. We would use our time during the lunch break to rehearse. We were figuring out, okay, what we were going to change into. That was also a big thing. We didn't want to be wearing the same outfits that we did the whole show, so everybody was rushing to try to change into something for the Soul Train line. It was time for me to leave Soul Train. I was 31, I think, and I thought, how much longer can I do this? And I thought, it's time for me to make my break. And I still did it for another year because it really was hard to stop dancing on Soul Train. It was a fantastic workout every month, but it was time for me to go. But before I did, I had to ask John if he'd give me a job. I said, well, John, I really want to work on your show. And he said, well, get in line. He said, because if I do it for you, I'll have to do it for the other 50 that have asked me. And so I had to just draw the line and make a hard, fast rule that, I can't do for one if I don't do for the rest. So I understood that, it was all good, and I made my transition from Soul Train. Soul Train was such a unique vehicle. It was a really closely held, familial type show. Everybody got along, everybody respected one another, and they made us know that they cared about us, and we needed to care about the image that we were projecting as part of the show. And I felt that my placement there, having not had a chance to dance on it in Chicago and then coming to California, and I didn't come looking for it when I got here. I came here looking to, work in industry and music. For it to come together the way that it did for me, I knew that I belonged there. So yes, I would do Soul Train again in a heartbeat. I made some amazing friends that are still my friends today, 30 years, 35, 40 years later almost. Still talk to them every other week. Everybody's still healthy and we're still here.
It's Saturday, I see the golden sun is shining up